Dover, Delaware. Population 39,403. Well, tonight, we're going to add about 30 more people to the population, because tonight, live here on Green Flag TV, the Premier Sim Racing presents the SimGamingExpo Truck Series, and we're racing from the Monster Mile. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. My name is Derrick Watson. Tonight, joined by Emmett Crow. Evan Posocco has the night off. Well, Emmett, here we are. The Monster Mile, this infamous 1 mile track. Probably lots of excitement ahead in the next 75 minutes.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, Derrick. It's a pleasure to be here with you on Green Flag TV. Yeah, so what I saw, y'all were at Bristol last week. So now we're going to Bristol's big brother, often called Dover International Speedway. And this is a great track. A lot of action has happened here. You know, it'll be interesting to see who Miles the Monster reaches out and grabs for sure.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. As Emmett said 2 weeks ago, actually, we were at Bristol. Tonight, the CTNNB1 Connect and Cure 180 live from the Dover Motor Speedway. You see upcoming. Then we get to the 1.5 miles. Texas, Kansas coming up. Then we'll go to Rockingham. We moved that race about 3 or 4 weeks ahead. Then Charlotte, Nashville, and Michigan is how we'll round out this schedule. Well, so far, here we are 2 weeks in. And Richard Regan Jr. holds a 1-point lead over Mark Keelan. Richard, of course, our race winner last week. Ted Lowendix in third. Bradley Hollings in fourth, with Nathan Deering in fifth. And then sixth, Steve Loving, Matt Gagnon, Nicholas Hunter, James Morgan, who is not racing tonight. We'll talk about that later. And Steve Baker back in P10. Now here's a look at our team points. Whataback Racing holds a 1-point lead over top of Regenboog Motorsports Neon. Then Solpec, Regenboog Green, and Grinds Racing huddle out your top 5. Then the Gold Octopus Gold, Regenboog Developmental, the Adams Family, Tabata Rossi Esports, and Team Hype round out the top 10 in team points after 2 weeks. Well, before we get live here and get started with the racing action, let's go ahead and take a moment and thank our sponsors for this race. We'll start off with the Sim Gaming Expo. Get ready for the ultimate simulation gaming experience. The SimGamingExpo is bringing all genres of simulation and gaming technology together under one roof. Please join us September 5th through the 7th in Chicagoland at the Schaumburg Convention Center to try out the latest gear from the biggest brands in the industry. You can meet your favorite streamers and celebrate your passion for simulation with our incredible community. Please do not miss out on this event. You can get your tickets now at simgamingexpo.com and be part of simulation gaming history. Next up is Miracle Flow. Miracle Flow is more than just a hair care. It's built for the bold. Now, they were born in Rochester, New York in 2015. Miracle Flow was created out of a vision and necessity to level up the flow and the lifestyle that comes with it. Now, they're made right here in the USA. Their products are crafted for quality and performance you can feel. Whether you're lined up with the boys getting ready to go to war or stepping out looking sharp, Miracle Flow keeps you looking fresh and feeling unstoppable. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just real results that speak for themselves. Miracle Flow, because your flow isn't just style, it's a statement. Profit Python. Every second counts on the track, and in making money, same thing applies. Like a perfect pit stop, the right deal at the right time means big profits. So we're going to introduce Profit Python, the ultimate Discord for deal hunters and side hustlers. Get blazing fast alerts on price drops, secret sales, and hidden jackpots before anyone else. The race to profit is on. Do not get left in the dust. Join over them now at www.whop.com/ProfitPython. Profit Python. Strike fast. Profit faster. We got Regenboog Motorsport. Regenboog Motorsports, their iRacing coaching is built to develop winners through one-on-one training where they focus on the fundamentals that turn fast drivers into champions through smart racecraft, disciplined decision-making, and pressure-proof performance. This isn't about chasing quick results. It's about building the foundation for lasting success. Regenboog Motorsports, developed for wins, built for championships. And we have our new sponsor, Mr. Hedge. Sim racing is full of unforgettable moments. Make sure you capture them with Mr. Hedge iRacing photography. From action shots of your first win to slick stills of your fastest livery, or even that wild crash you'll never live down, we turn your races into memories worth sharing. Simple, sharp, and made just for sim racers. Check out mrhedge.co.uk and get your best moments in focus. Mr. Hedge, capture the race, relive the moment. And last night's race sponsor, CTNNB1 Connect and Cure, as this is the CTNNB1 Connect and Cure 180. In racing and in life, every second counts. That's the spirit behind CTNNB1 Connect and Cure, a team of families, researchers, and advocates chasing bold breakthroughs for CTNNB1 syndrome, a rare genetic condition impacting movement and development of many, many children. They're funding cutting-edge research, fast-tracking treatments, and giving hope to families across the globe. One cure won't fit all, so they're driving many solutions for every child. Do you want to make an impact? Then join the movement and help cross the finish line to finding a cure. Head over to curectnnb1.org to get involved. One mission, many solutions. Again, thank you to all of our race sponsors helping make this broadcast and this race possible. And here we are now back on track. And here we are, see the number 62 coming down the track here, qualifying just wrapping up. And many drivers already putting down times, Emmett. This right here, right in the bottom at Dover, is this the way you want to see drivers go around here?
This is one of the ways, but I'll tell you, this is a multi-groove track, but I'll tell you that high line, like we used to see them boys run in those Gen 4 cars, into them trucks, I think the high line's going to be the fast way around here.
Well, riding along with Mark Kalin here, you see him getting up to about 160, 170 through the corners. So we'll see who has that permit. The Mark can kill the run here. Get the truck down here. About less than a minute left here. And as far as I can tell, about the top 21 drivers have all set times. I think now is probably a good time as any to talk about the drivers who have penalties tonight. There's a bunch of penalties after what was a massive, massive race at Bristol with 19 cautions. And we'll bring that list up in a second here. We'll start with the drivers who have an end-of-line penalty. They are not allowed to qualify tonight. Jacob Dunn, Ted Lowendick, Bradley Holly, Evan Williams, Blaine Adams, Reese Bogue, Brandon Walter, Stephen Brunner, Brian Tope, and Matt Gagnon. That's the list of people who are not allowed to qualify. Here's the list of people who are not allowed to race after caution points applied after the Bristol race. Zachary Williams, Patrick Cowgill, Josh Conker, James Morgan, and Nick Byer. I mean, that is a massive list.
That is a massive list, and wow. What, end of the line penalty is one thing, but to say that you're not going to be racing, wow. That's huge.
Yeah, unfortunately, that will be their drop week for the season, more than likely. Let's go and take a look at our starting grid. We'll read them off 6 by 6 here. So I'll start. Robert Barney took the pole with a 22.826. He has Kyle Dewey on the outside, less than a tenth of a second off of that pace. The Solopec driver Steve Baker joins Daniel Knight in the Riding Shotgun Motorsports. They're third and fourth. Thomas Sink, part of Grinds Racing, is lined up next to Andrew Sharp in a brand new paint scheme there in P6. What are we at P7, Emmett?
So we got Richard Regan Jr. lining up next to Nathan Deering in 8th. And then we have James O'Brien lining up next to Mark Kalin. Your Talladega winner, by if you remember, folks. Then you got Dustin Bumgardner lining up next to Doug Evans in 12th. And then Brett.
Moving back here into P13 is Brett Adams with Nicholas Schwartz on the outside, and then one of those Miracle Flow machines. P15, Colton Easterday, part of Regan Bogue Motorsports Green with Colton Lane. That's Colton for 15th and 16th. 17th and 18th, Steve Loving with that old throwback Microsoft truck. And then Jeff Evans with Miracle Flow in P18.
Yeah, in 19th, we have Garrett Austin lining up next to Mike Toomer Jr. in 20th. And then we have Nicholas Saraf lined up next to Nick Hunter in 22nd. And rounding out the field is going to be Zachary Burnett in the 28th truck in 23rd.
Zachary Burnt, the last driver who did, was allowed to take a time. I'll read the rest off for you here. A bunch of drivers who did not take time. We'll start 24th on back. Bradley Holly, Ted Lowendick, Brandon Walter, Jacob Dunn, Blaine Adams, Evan Williams, Nathan Ray, Steve Brunner, and Brian Tope round out a 31 truck field here at Dover Motor Speedway. Well, we see all the trucks are lined up here on the pit road, Emmett, getting ready to get the command to start the engine and get moving here. What do you expect from this race here for 75 minutes at Dover?
A lot of side-by-side action. I think we're going to have some great side-by-side racing. When the trucks came to Dover, it provided some great racing. So I'll be looking for a lot of good side-by-side racing tonight.
And what's the most dangerous part of this track for these drivers, do you think?
So I'm going to say coming out of turn 2, you get so much momentum, and we've seen a lot of big wrecks down that backstretch as you go across under that bridge. We think about that, but then we also think about coming to the start finish line. There's been a lot of trouble because you get so loose because your car's just a little bit on the loose side. So that'll definitely be interesting to see.
It'll be interesting to see. And what we're also going to see is the pace car come around one more time. Race Controls went ahead and added one pace lap to this moment here. So we'll get to go around a second time. You mentioned how loose it is out of the corners. And I think we can go ahead and probably take a look here and see, by the way, this racetrack weather-wise is not that hot. Only 97 degrees Fahrenheit on track compared to some races. I mean, that's not cold, but, it's been hotter.
Yes, definitely, especially when we come to Dover. So that is interesting for sure. But that wind, Derrick, that's going to play a factor for sure.
Yeah, 15-mile-an-hour wind. The drivers may feel that at certain points with it kind of moving their truck around a little bit here. Well, once again, welcome in to the CNNB1 Connect and Cure 180. Derrick Watson, Emmett Crow live here on Green Flag TV. So we're about to see for the first time this season, Robert Barney lead us around to the green flag. Well, this track's had many names over the time. It's been called Dover Downs, it's been called Dover International Speedway. Now it's called Dover Motor Speedway. But tonight, we're going to call it the home of this race for the next 75 minutes. All right, any moment now, the race truck will pull down. See him make that hard left-hand turn down the pit road. Robert Barney's in control. Kyle doing the outside. There's Barney the flag man. We'll wait for the command. Green flag here at Dover is out.
Yeah, that's a great shot of Barney right there. As we see the start right here, we're going to see the Robert Barney get a great launch on that inside line. He'll shoot in front of, is that Bradley Holly?
Yeah, Bradley Holly's back in there trying to push his, well, Bradley Holly's all the way in the back. He'll try to push his way through.
Okay.
That's Kyle Dewey back here in P2, though. And he has quickly got himself single file. Whoa, we saw a little bit of wiggle there. That's something we talked about, how these trucks are going to react out of the corners, Emmett.
Yeah, definitely. And especially when you come off turn 4, that's where you get loose. And, when we see a lot of finishes here at Dover, we see those cars get so sideways coming to that checker flag for sure.
Well, right now, there's a big initiative. You can tell it to get single file on this track. You talked about later, we'll see double wide racing, but for now, they're content sort of riding in a parade line of sorts. I mean, look at that. As far back as the eye can see, maybe back all the way through 10th place, already single file racing.
Yeah, it's already getting single file, and I tell you, that's allowed Robert Barney to just drive off. I mean, it looks like Dewey's catching him just a little bit, but Barney's got the clean air, and that's how he's selling right now.
Right now, look at that. There's a battle back towards the backstream. That's Jeff Evans and Steve Loving. Evans in that sort of magenta style coloring. I just had Steve Loving in that old throwback Microsoft Windows 95 style paint scheme. This is the battle for P16. And look how close Loving is getting.
Yeah, he's right up on that back bumper, trying to get like a rat on a Cheeto, just trying to get past him, trying to find momentum to get around them. But yeah, look at sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, see, that's Bradley Holly right there. Look at that. Bradley Holly, one of the drivers not allowed to qualify. And he's already, I think, worked his way up to 17th place here on track. So he's now, P19 currently. He's trying to get through this field quickly.
Yeah, trying to get through trying to get there quickly. But as we go back to our lead, Robert Barney, Kyle Dewey is catching you each and every lap, Derek. I've been watching, and lap by lap, Dewey cuts it down little by little.
Yeah, little by little indeed. Last time by about 500ths of a second difference. Dewey was faster than Barney. So little by little was correct. And Kyle Dewey having his best run of the season so far. So is Robert Barney up here leading some laps at Dover. Has led every lap so far here. And look at the top of the leaderboard on the left. If you're new to the SimGamingExpo Truck Series, you'll see this is a timed race, 75 minutes. We don't care about the lap counts. We're going to go racing for 75 minutes, no matter how many laps we can get in. So, see that we're here now. There's all that steam. I mean, that's the Microsoft machine. Caution's out for the first time. We're about the 4-minute mark of the race. He's got it turned around and moving here. And in a moment, we'll see that replay machine load up and see what happened. But that, typically, you hinted earlier, we've seen trucks loose out of the corners. That was coming into the corners. I suspect that problem probably happened. Ooh, scrubbed the wall again. Let's watch the Loving again here, Emmett.
Yeah, as we take a look at... Oh, he had a little...
Contact.
There's a little extracurricular right there.
Yeah, he got some help, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm trying to see who that was.
That was Colton Easter Day. Or Colton Lane, pardon me. Lane. It's one of the Coltons. We got to get them to change their name. You can't have two guys in the same race. That's not fair to the commentators.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely not fair for sure.
Well, so look up and down the board. Minus maybe Steve Loving, who had some contact. Maybe Colton Lane. No one's going to pit here. No need to pit 4 minutes in, right?
Yeah, no need to pit for sure. But yeah, as we take another look on the overhead shot, yeah, looks like Lane got loose right there, and that's what... There was a truck actually on the apron, and I think he checked up. And when he checked up, that's when he got loose and got into the Microsoft machine.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I agree that he got loose. I'm not sure if he got loose just because of the nature of getting on the throttle too soon, or if maybe that truck down there had something to play with it. That'd be a good question for the drivers later. But you're right. I mean, Loving, as far as he knew, that he was clear to go, and then fortunately found himself spun around like that old maze in the old Microsoft screensaver. Just could not seem to find his way around.
Definitely.
All right, well, let's run through your top 5. Barney, Dewey, Knight, Daniel Knight up there. Richard Regan, by the way, is sick tonight. I had a chance to talk with him briefly. Doesn't sound good. So I can tell he doesn't feel good. So I kind of joked this might be his MJ flu game for Richard Regan. And then Steve Baker up in P5. So maybe it's a cause of the suspensions we commented on at the start of the broadcast. But some new names at the top of the field. Is this maybe just... it's a different style of track that's causing this? You think it's maybe the suspensions coming into play? What do you think is causing us to see some new names up here?
That could play a factor. Every driver has their strong suit about what sort of speedways that they're strong at. So that could definitely be a factor for sure.
Question will be, how long does it stay that way? Remember, there's a herd of drivers. Holly, Lowendick, Dunn, Adams, and others who needed to work their way through the field. And I'm trying to look through timing and scoring. The first one I noticed is Bradley Holly in 17th. So worked his way up a little bit through the field. Well, the restart will be in the hands of our leader, Robert Barney. This is in the bottom right of your screen. Most positions gained. That's Bradley Holly up 7. Ted Lowendick up 6. That's not a surprise. Those are the drivers who had to start in the back, not allowed to qualify. So I talked to Bradley Holly. He said his whole goal tonight was just to get to the front without hitting anybody. And so far he's doing a pretty good job at that. Well, if you're Robert Barney and you're doing a restart, let's watch it here from his truck. And he'll wait for that restart zone. You'll see the blue signs for Geico right about there on your right side. And he can go right there, and he does.
Yeah, hits the restart zone perfect. Gets a great launch. As we take a look, that's a great shot at the gyroscope for sure. But yeah, Barney able to just drive off the corner and leave them in the dust on the restart for sure.
great job. Daniel Knight's moved up to second, by the way. Richard Regan's up to third, so they really are changing spots pretty quickly. There's Kyle Dewey stuck on the outside of a truck. That's Steve Baker
man.
on the inside.
Yeah, get stuck on that outside. And, you know, with these the way these trucks are running on that inside line, you know, they get hung out to dry, and they got to wait and wait until they can get down onto the track for sure, down to the bottom.
So I was going to ask you about that. Sometimes when we go to tracks of this, you know, shape of this sort of Dover-esque style shape, you said maybe the big brother to Bristol. Sometimes the bottom lane's dominant, sometimes the top lane's dominant because of the runs you can get off of the corners. Where do you want to be, bottom or top?
You know, when I used to do the virtual racing at Dover, yeah, definitely big hit. I'd like to diamond the corner. I'd start up high on the backstretch and then come down and get it down low, but you know, it's changed out so much, and the racing is just so much better. But yeah, you got to watch out for Miles the Monster. That's the big thing. Watch out for old Miles, because he'll come out and grab you for sure.
Yeah, this track has many nicknames. The Monster Mile is one of them, and it is known that those walls are known to sort of grab you and to sort of hold on to you and really mess up your race car.
Definitely.
And a magnificent mile at one point, I think is what we used to call this place. And there's some contact almost. Ooh, that was, I think, Brett Adams in the 23 up top, and they got away from that.
Yeah, little beating and banging, but that's what we like about these mile tracks. You know, I mean, it's a very unique track because we don't go to many tracks that are only a mile long. You know, we go to 1.5 miles, we go to 2 miles and half miles, but no real just miles. So definitely interesting for sure.
Well, it's something else to talk about. This is a concrete racetrack. Remember, back in 1995, it moved from asphalt to concrete, and so a lot of drivers will tell you this concrete drives very different. It's something that's different about the way it handles the race and the trucks or the cars, whatever you're in. This concrete can cause some problems.
Yeah, it definitely can cause some problems, and we see a lot of tire problems here at Bristol. At Dover, sorry. Here at Dover.
You got that analogy stuck in your head, don't you?
But see a lot of tire problems, and that's when they came out with the PJ1 and the resin and they started adding it to the tracks, you know, that's one of the reasons why they added the resin to it. Of course, iRacing, there's no resin, so love to see the old style Dover. Almost said Bristol again, but yeah, like to see Dover and how it is for sure.
Back here on track, you're watching a few different battles. This one right here, Colton Easterday, and that truck right there. And you got Thomas Sink and Mark Kalin involved in this battle. And you see everyone, again, still single file. So maybe drivers just want to save their tires till later. Do you think they're just not eager to go side by side, or is it just too difficult to be side by side right now?
That's exactly what I think, Derek. I think everybody's just saving their tires. You know, I mean, we're only 20 minutes into this race? I mean, not even 20. And it's still a long way to go, so save your tires. There's going to be cautions. They're going to come out. And just be able to survive at the end.
By the way, of note, Stephen Brunner has already retired from the race. So Stephen Brunner, the first truck out. So we know who will finish last tonight. Unfortunately, that will be him. That number 13, or excuse me, number 11 machine, pardon me, 11 to 13, 11 to see if Runner has called it a night. Well, here we are. Look at this again. Second verse, same as the first. Robert Barney has about almost a half-second lead over the rest of the field.
Yeah, Daniel Knight, though, I've been watching Daniel Knight, just keeping up with the lap times, you know, looking at live scoring and everything. And Knight is actually running very close. I mean, he's a 10th off of Barney. So Daniel Knight's coming there, Derek.
Yeah, Daniel Knight, a long-time member of the iRacing community. Funny enough, I met Daniel Knight many years ago, and we reconnected when I became a lead commentator here. Daniel Knight used to be I'll be still as active on Reddit, was active in the iRacing Reddit, actually wrote a program for iRacing to connect to hue lights. So the hue lights in your room will change for the flag colors. So I don't know if I got it from like 5 years ago, and we talked, and I was like, wait, I know your name. Like, I have DMs with you. And then we figured out that's how we knew one another. So, yeah, fun story there. So Daniel Knight has told me he's working on a new version, which was nice to see. That may happen. Who knows if he'll release it on Reddit or wherever it comes out. Well, here's Richard Regan Jr., last week's winner, our overall points leader. And boy, talk about that feeling right now. As you said, he doesn't feel good. You know, he came in the booth there, you could kind of hear it in his voice, just kind of felt very blah. Boy, this is not the racetrack I'd want to race at if I didn't feel good. This track takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of energy, but there is a championship on the line, and I mean, he's trying to build on that points lead, you know, and you know, he's probably thinking he's got the momentum coming off of that win at Bristol a couple weeks ago, and now you go to a similar track here at Dover. So I think that's why he decided to run this race for sure.
Look at those hands. Boy, look at the action off the corner there. Watch it again.
Wow.
Hey, man, I always tell viewers at home, if you ever want to know how a driver's night is going inside the car, watch the hands, right? The more movement you see from the hands right there, that's him fighting this truck, keeping it, you know, in a quote-unquote straight direction. Ideally, as a driver, we want to have a very smooth night. You just kind of move the hands, you hold them there, you open the wheel up, and you kind of go. But, I mean, look at all that seesawing of the wheel. This truck must be giving him fits.
Yeah, that truck is pretty loose, as you can see right there, and see how his hands are for sure. He's got his hands full, but, I mean, he's doing a great job with that ill-handling truck. But sometimes, you know, loose is fast, and that's usually the best way around here at Dover.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. That's a thing that really, I think, is different driver to driver, right? Some drivers love these loose trucks. They love these loose race tracks. You know, I talked with a couple of drivers earlier who said, hey, this track is really loose and I'm happy about it. And then we talked to some drivers who really prefer tighter setups. They don't want to have to fight the truck all night. They don't want to have to feel like they're always, you know, like on the verge of spinning out. And so it's very different driver to driver.
Yeah, very different. And then also this track, you know, if you're tight here, you're going to be up on the wall and you're going to be fighting, you know, not hitting the wall. So I like to set my truck up to be just a little bit loose, just way loose and a little bit tight. Just a little bit tight, and that'll help for sure.
Yeah, here's teammates right here on screen. Bradley Holly, Ted Lowendick. Brad with the Miracle Flow paint scheme. Ted Lowendick with the Nerds Gummy Clusters there on the front of his truck. Very popular candy this time of year. In fact, when I went to do the clearance candy aisle Monday after Easter Sunday, I saw some gummy clusters. Almost bought some. There's Ted.
Yeah, definitely very popular.
You ever had a Nerds Gummy Cluster?
Yes, sir. I just finished off a pack the other day. So, wife came home with a value pack of the little bags, and I ate about 3 or 4, maybe 10. You never know.
Nice. See some racing apparel in the back. There's Andrew Sharp, by the way. Look in the back of the Lumitex camera. See the WeatherTech? That's maybe a back bumper from a race car. So Ted's got a nice racing room set up there. This is the battle for P5. This is Andrew Sharp. Andrew's had a really rough season. Just in his mind, he just told me today he's gotten run over in both the previous races. Not happy about it. Andrew, at one point, has really peaked and, you know, was running for titles. And hold on, we'll come back to that point because he cautions out. Oh my gosh, that is the 171 spun around. That is Nicholas Schwartz. From that angle so far, no contact, but we'll confirm that in a minute. But here we go. So about 17 minutes into the race, caution number 2 at Dover. We'll wait for the replay to get loaded up here. We'll take a look. Emmett, here it is. Walk us through it.
Yeah, so it looks like Schwartz gets... man. He got way loose, and the car just walked up the racetrack, and unfortunately, Jeff Evans, I believe, was the innocent victim.
That's right, the 51. Yeah, he got crammed into the wall.
Wow.
All right, well, here comes another replay. This is from Evans' point of view. I mean, he's up against the wall. He has no idea it's coming.
Man.
And everyone's going to come down pit road here. And unfortunately, we'll track this with the way these trucks are built and the way that works. I'm almost scared Evans may have gotten more damage out of that than Schwartz did.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Evans took a hard hit on the driver's side, but then, you think about the front end and everything and messing with the splitter and could definitely mess up the handling and the downforce of these trucks for sure.
But let's see if we can find out live from the horse's mouth here. I'm going to try something without warning. Jeff Evans, welcome into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. How big of a surprise was that? You just got crushed into a wall.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was starting to get a bit loose on corner exits, so writing was kind of on the wall, but yeah, that was nowhere.
So I was kind of scared. You get crushed into the wall. How bad's the damage? Sometimes that driver gets the worst of it, right?
Yeah, 6.5 minutes, all optional, but based on how it seems to go with aero damage, I think I'm better off just taking the repairs and being patient, and going down a lap or two here, and then clawing back at it versus going back out on track and being.
So you're gonna try to go a lap or two down. You can take all the damage. What's the plan here?
I don't know. I will see how close it is when these guys come back around again. I feel like it's probably my best interest to take it all at this point. Just go down 2 or 3 laps and hope for the best. But I'm just nervous that if I don't take it all, I'm going to be going to the corner. It's just not going to want to. It's going to pivot too much on me. So.
All right. Well, we'll put you back with your team. Good luck with getting that damage fixed, and maybe we'll talk to you later.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right. That is Jeff Evan. As we're about to go back here to green. That's how fast cautions happen here. I mean, we're already back to green flag racing when we get back to the front straight here.
And I understand Nick Schwartz is going to have an ELL penalty, so that'll definitely be interesting to try to see him work his way up. But I can't believe he didn't have more damage than Evans for sure. Oh, he's
still in the pits. Yeah, you see the timer there on the right side of your screen. So he may just be trying to inch every second of damage out. We'll see how bad it is. Well, maybe we can get a word with him later and see what he thought. Pace car's down once again for the 3rd time. Robert Barney's in control, but he has a new contender, and Richard Regan on the outside. Here we are, green flag racing back at Dover, and look at that massive jump.
Yeah, look at the massive jump on Barney. I mean, he has been just 100% on these restarts. Just great jump. But right there, Regan's going to fall into 2nd and Dangle Knight in 3rd. Oh, look at Regan. He's trying to get up.
Boy, Regan's still loose. You're right. Sorry to cut you off, but boy, that was scary. Yeah. That truck wiggled down the back straight.
Yeah, that truck is so loose, but I told you, loose is fast. Usually around here at Dover, that's a good thing for sure, but it's just hard.
Oh, contact!
My gosh.
That's Mark Kalin down off the track. My goodness, and Mark Kalin, black flags. That's...
Wow.
Oh, he's going to get a... We'll see if that stands. When he came down off the track, he sort of hit the pit line there, the commitment line. We'll see if that stands. We'll see. I'm expecting he'll try to get it cleared. And they have went ahead and fixed that for him. So no black flag for Mark Kalin after all. Watch this here. That's Thomas Sink right there.
Man.
And you know what? A little scary, but a nice rejoin by Mark Kalin.
Yeah, good rejoin for sure. As we got a new leader, Derrick.
We do. You're right. I was so busy watching the replays of that, I missed. You're right. New leader, Richard Regan Jr., the real-life short track driver, is there. And there's another yellow flag. So, that's 2 cars. That's Nick Seraph and the 54. Brian Tope, I believe I saw as well. And Brandon Walter.
Brandon Walter.
He was... That first camera view, was he hidden? Was he camouflaged? I missed him the first time, but there he is. Well, for Jeff Evans and Nick Schwartz, this is good news, but for these drivers, this is bad news. I mean, oh my God.
Man.
We have liftoff.
Wow.
That 99 was breakdancing.
You know, y'all were at Talladega 3 weeks ago. That was definitely a moment from, I think, Ricky Bobby when he's like, yep, I'm flying through the air for sure. This ain't good.
Gosh. Wow. That was intense.
You know, we haven't seen many cars get airborne except Joey Logano at Dover, so that was definitely some crazy action. Sure.
Watch it again. This is Serap and the white truck, and it's like it's massively loose.
Oh.
And, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he tried to save it and correct it. It just went up the track, and that's where the 99 was, and there was nowhere for the 99 to go. But what an impact for sure.
My goodness. Well, no surprise here when I say the 99 has some required repairs he needs to get done. Here's Brian Tobe. Look at that. Tried to get it slowed down, just could not quite get there, right?
He about got through there, but just couldn't. Yeah, it says all he hit was just the wall, so I don't think the damage is too extensive on that truck.
Yeah, let's do this here. Last caution, we talked to Jeff Evan. This caution, we're going to talk to the man who went airborne. Brandon Walter, are you okay?
Well, let me tell you, I think I need a beer.
He does more than a beer, maybe some wings, an air sickness bag, an airbag.
Some new underwear.
I just want to thank the guy I was telling in the chat. I want to thank the kind folks at iRacing and Dover for protecting all the virtual fans in the stands, because my truck did not go through the fence, but man, that was not fun.
So, all joking aside for a second, what was your perspective? Obviously, it looked like Raptors got loose on the inside. I'm assuming you had no idea it was coming.
No way. I saw him save it. I'm like, okay, cool. I went up the track to try to avoid it. Didn't even see him, and I just get hit, and all of a sudden I'm in the fence. I'm like, okay, well, I get it. He tried to save it. He apologized. It is what it is, you know?
Right. Well, can we confirm now, is your truck done for the day?
Oh, yeah, she's toast. I'm going to be like Kimi Räikkönen that one year where he crashed out of Monaco, and I'm going to go sit on my yacht with a drink.
Oh, the yacht sounds amazing right about now. Well, Brandon, we'll see you next week at Texas, and have a good night.
Hey, you too. Thanks.
That is Brandon Walter, part of Regenboog Motorsport. We'll put him back with his team here in Discord. And, well, here we are again. We're about to go green. And the cautions are picking up a little bit here. Man, the cautions are only picking up. They're getting kind of massive, Emmett.
Yeah, and you know what they say, cautions often breed cautions. So it's definitely picking up. The accident's picking up, and yeah, the racing's getting better, and that's what's causing these wrecks and everything. Couldn't even talk.
Here we are, green flag back out. By the way, your leader, Richard Regan Jr., chose the outside lane for the restart. He is your race leader, and he has quickly pulled away from Robert Barney. And for the first time tonight, someone other than Robert Barney controls the restart. There's Barney in second, Dino Knights in third, Steve Baker, Andrew Sharp rounding at your top five as we're back here in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, coming now to 3 and 4, coming down the front stretch. Here comes Regan. He'll lead the lap, but look at Barney. He's right up on that back bumper. He's looking to the inside, Derek, but Regan shuts the door. Sorry.
You're right. No, you're fine. You're right. He closed that gap quickly compared to how big the restart jump was. He was 0.2 of a second faster that lap. And look at him here to the inside, trying to tuck inside there. And Regan's trying to close the door.
Yeah, Regan slams the door on him, and that's going to allow Regan to pull away for just a second. But here comes Barney. But Barney's having his hands full with Knight for a second, but now Barney's able to drive away and get right back on the back bumper of Regan.
Both drivers getting up out of the corner to the top of the track. They're going to try it again here. And this time, Barney goes higher than Regan. He's going to try and make a different lane work. See the side of your screen, blade that. Yeah, he tried to cross over, and let's see if it does it again under the bottom. Not quite there. But you see he's trying. He wants to make it work.
I think he's trying to make Regan make a mistake because Regan might be doing a little mirror driving. So I think that's what he's trying to do is he opened up the inside this time. Just can't get to the quarter panel, though, can he, Derek?
No, not quite yet. He is trying with everything, though. So if you're Richard Regan, I think the hope is that Robert Barney sort of uses up all of his tires trying to make this pass. And that you're just sort of defending. Because the truck defending, of course, has the preferred lane usually. So now, right now, is there a way that Robert Barney can use the top lane to make this work?
I mean, there's got to be a way. I mean, if he finds grip up there, maybe he can get up there and get it to stick, try a move, just throw it into the corner and try to get it around.
Coming back to Nathan Deering, hearing he was just up an outside wall a moment ago. But he's got that thing back in a single file lane. He's got Kyle Dewey behind him, and that's sort of that bright yellowish, maybe pastel styled Eastern colored machine. At least that's what it looks like from a distance here. So keep an eye on that. But right now, back to the lead. It's Regan and Barney 1 and 2. And they pulled about, 2 or 3 more tenths of a second back to Daniel Knight. So not quite a 2-truck race, but they're trying to make it one.
Yeah, as we take a look, here's the wall hit. Wow.
So when you have a wall hit like that, Emmett, even if it doesn't hurt the truck, right? Even if the truck seems okay, what does that do to a driver? Does that shake your confidence? Does it frustrate you? Does it motivate you? As a driver, what do those small moments do to you?
So, as a driver, it definitely gets you, if somebody definitely runs you up into the wall, pitches you up there, you get a little, fired up. But I'm more worried about, just like the crew chief is, about how that truck's going to handle, the aero package and the downforce. It's going to help the downforce. Sometimes you hit that wall, it may make that truck go faster. You never know for sure.
Yeah, you never quite know for sure what it'll do. But here's a battle back here for 13th. Nick Hunter, Jacob Dunn, Colton Lane, Ted Lowendick's back here. I think I saw Thomas Sink maybe the back of that shot right there. So Dunn, of course, one of the drivers not allowed to qualify, that black and purple Tabita Rossi Esports machine. And trying to claim his first PSR victory. Many drivers are. It's a brand new league, so really we only have 2 drivers who've won a race in this league, and that's Mark Kalin and Richard Regan Jr. So you would say, I think that the Vegas odds are it's more likely to, just numbers-wise, to see a new winner.
Yeah, you never know. I did a league for 4Wide Motorsports, and it was a brand new league, and the first 4 races were won by a new driver in that league. So you never know about when it comes to this league racing and iRacing for sure.
Yeah, you never quite know. We're looking on back from Steve Baker back into Andrew Sharp. Andrew with that brand new paint scheme, by the way. In the past, he's had different schemes, including that Jeff Gordon-inspired rainbow machine and a couple others. But tonight, a very bright white truck here is the base color for that machine. We'll see if we can get some different shots of it later here as the night goes on. See, there's it goes by. It's sort of a red, white, and blue-ish inspired scheme. And there's another truck in the wall. I think that was Daniel Knight trying to get off the wall there.
You know
there
what?
it is. There's a nice shot of Andrew's truck. Told me in the chat this week, said he needed to get a new paint scheme in, just maybe to kind of, that, what do you call that, the superstition a little bit.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes that's what it takes, just change up something. Maybe it's from a paint scheme to, you never know. But I see the Valvoline Mark Martin throwback in the field, and that's a really sweet looking ride for sure.
Yeah, lots of great looking schemes up and down the field. You see again the Gummy Cluster machine here. You see the see Bradley Holly's Miracle Flow. There's that Valvoline machine you talked about. The Grinds Racing. And hold on, we got a caution again at 45 minutes to go. And there's the truck to the inside. That's the 54. That is Brian Tope, his second time tonight. He's in a wall.
Man, and this time it looks like he's hit a little bit harder than the last time.
See what's going to happen. Whoa, look at that truck wiggle.
Man. Yeah.
He tried to get it slowed down, but unfortunately what happens here, just with how small the racing surface is, I think that Barney the Flagman has put the caution out pretty quickly there. So in the grand scheme of things, I mean, you could almost argue Tope probably could have got that thing saved and got it moving again, but the caution comes out.
I think the fact that he hit the wall, and there's not an infield here at Dover. Yeah.
Interesting enough, though, Brett Adams being given end-of-line penalty, and I don't think those two are related because...
Wow.
Yeah, we'll wait and see if we get word on that later about why, because that doesn't... They'll have to be unrelated. There's nothing about Brett Adams being involved in that moment right there. That was purely Brian Tope getting loose to the inside. Well, here we are, working a caution again. Brian Tope is now a lap down. There's the 38 machine, by the way, on pit road. And that 38 is James O'Brien. So as we get ready to go racing again here soon, there's 23 cars still in the lead lap. There's So let's go through the cars not on the lap. Brian Topes a lap down. Nick Schwartz is 3. Jeff Evans is 8 laps down. Is about what he predicted when we talked to him. Garrett Austin, 9 laps down. Blaine Adams, Brandon Walter, and Nick Seraph are the other cars not on the lead lap. And then Steve Brunner and Nathan Ray never turned a lap here in this race. They're listed in the official standings, but did not take a lap. You see Evan Williams down there getting some damage checks. A long pit stop, 51 seconds. Blaine Adams, 39 seconds. These are drivers who still have some lingering damage that they want to get fixed.
Yeah, that's definitely some long pit stops, but I hope them boys are getting, a chicken sandwich or something, because, I mean, you get this long on pit road, get you some fluids and get you a snack for sure.
Yeah, get something to make it feel better, but try to get a lot of damage fixed because, you heard Jeff Evans talk about if you come out of here with a broken race car, this track will sort of eat you up and maybe cause more problems for you. So why not try? Well, here we are lined up 2 wide. And this time I think Richard Regan Jr. is going to choose the inside lane after choosing the outside last time. Do you think he's just kind of size experimenting, wanting to see what he wants to do later? Just, try a little bit of both?
That's exactly what I think, Derek. I think he's just deciding which line is faster. Of course, we saw him on that outside line on that last restart, and he was like a rocket ship for sure. So that's definitely what I think he's doing, is experimenting on which line to choose.
Well, this time by the pace car will pull down, and with about 41.5 minutes to go, we're going to go green flag racing. As soon as Richard Regan hits those blue area right there, he'll get to press on the gas pedal, and he will, as we're green flag once again at Dover.
Yeah, and once again, Regan gets a great restart, but Barney is going to shoot down to the bottom right in front of Daniel Knight, as we see right here. See Barney riding around in the second position. But as we look further back, Derek, there's a lot of pack racing for sure.
A lot of racing going. Look at all that big cluster right there involving the Glummie cluster cars. Oh, and Lowen Dick's trying to get to the inside of that yellow machine.
Yeah, he'll get there and complete the pass.
That's Nick Hunter he's going to pass there on this time by. You see Thomas Sink now is going to fall behind Jacob Dunn up just ahead. So they're trying to get a single fouled out, but not quite yet.
Yeah, not quite yet. They are definitely racing hard. And to take a look at the race leader, Mr. Richard Regan, still pulling out. What is it, about 2/10 of a second lead?
Yeah, about 2/10 of a second is where we are right now. So maybe one of the biggest leads we've seen all night. This lead has not gone away. Sometimes in these races, we'll see a leader pull away and really kind of walk the field, so to speak. But tonight, it's been pretty close for the lead, and we'll go on back here. So Daniel Knight's in 3rd, Baker's in 4th, Sharp's in 5th. But look at this cluster right here. I mean, that's Kyle Dewey there. Bradley Holly's up to P8, I think. But Dustin Bumgarner's in this pack, in this herd, if you will. Oh boy, Kyle Dewey. I don't know if he got the wall, if he was just trying to avoid it, but that was a massive move he made in reaction.
Looked like we had a truck in the wall. I couldn't see the number, but he was way off the tape.
That's Garrett Austin, the 34. By the way, funny quote from Garrett Austin. Every week in the Discord, we try and have some fun with the drivers, and we talk about just random stuff, not just racing. So we talked. The question last week, by the way, was if you could pick one restaurant that you can only order from for the rest of your life, where would you pick? And people have said to common stuff, McDonald's, Subway, Dairy Queen. I think our producer Dustin Ollis picked Cookout, I think if I recall right. But the most odd answer came from Garrett Austin. He said Taco Bell, but his reasoning is because they have the best vegetarian menu of any fast food restaurant. When you order Taco Bell, Emmett, if you ever thought, boy, I'm at the vegetarian place?
Thought that because I'm a steak eater. I love their steak, even though it doesn't love me. But yeah, I've never thought about that.
He says, as a vegetarian, that it's one of the best menus out there from fast food. So, but I listen. If you want to pick Taco Bell, that's fine. They have breakfast. I get it, but the reasoning threw me off, not the choice.
Yeah, Y'all are lucky enough to have breakfast at your Taco Bell. You are you're blessed for sure. I miss a good old AM crunch wrap every morning in the mornings for sure.
There you go. Well, right now, here we are, about 38 minutes to go on the clock. A pretty, decent race so far at Dover. A couple cautions here and there, so maybe some self-spins. One big wreck that we saw involve a couple of drivers, Brandon Walter being the victim. But here we are. This is now Colton Easterday racing here, and he's racing with Kyle Dewey. You see both their photos there on screen. And Kyle at times has been someone who's really shown some promise in this league, and at times had some very difficult times, but doing well today. And here's Colton Lane and Nick Hunter. Oh, there's a trick in the back. That's Mike Toomer Jr., I'm pretty sure. That's Toomer. Oh, there's a big hit. That's...
Oh, Jeff Evans.
Jeff Evans. That's 28.
Doug
Evans. Zachary Burnt, the 28, by the way, was the car I saw go spinning. He got hit after the wreck and really just kind of went and did some pirouettes there on the track. Here's the 41 already down pit road. That's Doug Evans. He's the father of Jeff Evans. And unfortunately, he's going to come down to get some damage fixed. And wow, that sort of came out of nowhere from the back of the camera shot. We'll wait and see if we get a better look at it and what happened. But here we are under caution again. There's Jeff Evans up top. Jeff is hoping maybe we can gain some laps back in all this chaos, but we'll wait and see what may happen. Mark Kalen's going to come down pit road here. Nope, never mind. He faked us out.
Yeah.
So here's the replay.
Take a look at the replay right here.
There's Zach Burnt to the inside of Mike Toomer. Just ran Toomer up the track, and around he went. Now here's Burnt. Oh, and then he got hit by Doug Evans, who never had a chance. Oh, you're right. That was Jeff Evans in the background. He tried to like Tokyo drift it, and unfortunately met the back of the back of his truck met the wall.
Yeah, tough break for Jeff Evans trying to get some laps back, and gets caught up in the chaos. But leaders are on pit road.
All right, leaders on pit road. There's a couple trucks I think who may have stayed out. We'll wait and confirm here. I think I see Mark Kalen, James O'Brien, and Steve Loving. The top three. So Loving, O'Brien, and Kalen as they run on track in that order did not pit this time by. So we'll see what effect that has. It's only been about 12 laps since Loving and O'Brien pitted. Mark Kalen I show last pitted on lap 39. So that one may have a bigger impact on tires.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're at Bristol, you're screaming that you want those tires. I mean Dover, sorry.
You've got Dover. Bristol on the brain, don't you?
I got Bristol on the brain, but Dover. It's
we all have our nights.
Yeah, but Dover for sure. You're wanting those tires for sure. But yeah, this will be interesting to see those guys staying out.
Watch a different replay here. This will be from Zachary Burnt. He's got up there, got in the back end of Mike Toomer. Got him turned around.
Man.
Hoping to get a word with either driver. We don't see either driver in Discord with us, so we won't be able to have those conversations. But I mean, pretty just an accident. Obviously, nothing intentional, nothing, just how the trucks behave here. We got a truck on the bottom trying to get back to the end of the line here. But now for our third different leader on a restart here. Steve Loving will be in control of this restart. He has chosen the bottom lane in that Microsoft machine.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? Wasn't Steve Loving involved in our first caution, I believe?
Yeah, I believe he was minorly involved in the first caution, so obviously got some damage fixed and now confident. Green flag is out, and where do you want to go today? To the front. That's where Steve Loving wants to be on this restart.
Yeah, Steve Loving. Wow, what a restart. But look at O'Brien on the outside. That's showing how strong that truck is, but we see Richard Regan, how good his truck is on the high line. He'll come around, try to get next to Loving as we got a new leader, James O'Brien.
Yeah, James O'Brien, a well-respected sim racer. And he is going to lead this lap here, and he'll do that. and get the credit for the lap led. Remember, there are some bonus points in PSR in the SimGamingExpo Truck Series. Now Richard Regan's back to the lead, by the way. He has quickly moved on through. Look at Steve Loving's getting swallowed up here. 3 wide in the middle of Dover.
Daniel Knight's going to try to shoot the gap and try to take second and third in one move. Wow, what a move from Daniel Knight for sure.
That was a great move. Steve Baker followed him right behind. By the way, Steve Baker's moving back to the field. That is that number 2 machine who just pulled in front of O'Brien. And boy, O'Brien looked to be really sort of maybe the leader of the herd for a moment, but now he's quickly falling back to the field.
Yeah, that's good. That's what happens when you know, you're staying out and trucks got fresher tires than you here at Dover. You know, that could often happen. So tough break for O'Brien as he's slipping farther and farther back for sure.
Are you surprised though? I mean, as I said during the caution, we're talking about 12, maybe 13 laps difference between, you know, O'Brien and Loving versus the drivers who just pitted. Are you a little surprised that that's big of a difference exists in those tires?
It all depends on the track temperature, you know, and everything, and how much rubber's on the track. But, you know, that's a good question, and I'm a little surprised, but then I'm half and half. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, again, we know tire differences make an impact, but sometimes you would think 12 laps at a place like Dover wouldn't matter quite as much as it did. But, I mean, quickly, Regan, Daniel Knight, Steve Baker all got ahead. But let's be careful and temper that conversation, though, because Steve Loving is still sitting here, P4, right? He didn't exactly, you know, sink through the field by any means. Now he's under attack by Bradley Holly, or he will be here in just a moment, by the way. And Briggs was to dig in there.
Yeah, he tried to move up in there, and I thought he was going to get into the quarter panel just a hair, but he was able to keep it off of him, and now he'll just pass him on the inside.
Well, now Brown has went ahead and made that pass, and now also Dustin Bumgarner is going to get through. There's also Ted Lowendick. So finally, some of the drivers who were not allowed to qualify at the start of this race, you know, about, 45 minutes ago, are finally working their way up into the top 5, maybe the top 10 of this race.
Yeah, they're definitely starting to go as we take a shot at Bradley Holly. Great shot of him. Look at that. Look at the purple light.
Yep. One of the key factors of Brad always has the room lit up to match the paint scheme. So got the purple truck on, it's got the purple lights. And you see now, this is a unique view Brad gives us, by the way. This is his own version of a driver cam. He's got a webcam strapped to the top of his headset. So we kind of see Brad's vision, or Brad's screen as he sees it, pardon me. But if we go back, you can also see Brad, of course, we focus every week on all the Lego sets that sit behind Brad on his webcam. Lego is a big common theme across PSR and the SimGamingExpo Truck Series. And, you know, we see it from Patrick Cowgill when he races. He has a bunch of sets. Mark Kalin finally got to start to work on this Titanic set this week. I got some pictures of that over the weekend. But look at all those amazing Star Wars sets. I need to ask Brad if he's going to go. This weekend's the 25th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. That's going to be in theaters. I wonder if Brad will be there.
Yeah, that'll... Can you believe it's been 25 years already?
I don't want to talk about it. Like, that's... Yeah, I'm old.
27, yeah.
Yeah, we just got word in our ear from our producer, Dustin Ollis. Yeah, I'm 27. Yeah, be quiet. I would have either been in or out of high school when Revenge of the Sith came out. So I won't talk about it.
I think I was about, let's see, I was maybe 7 or 8.
Oh my gosh,
it came out
so old. There's a little truck. Is that Dustin Bumgarner, I think, right there? Yep.
Yeah, Bumgarner, hard contact in the wall. I think he just got up in the marbles. He just got loose.
By the way, you know, one of the unique features of this
another
track,
truck in the wall.
You're right, there was, that we should talk about, by the way. You kind of made the reference we always say in real life about how the Miles the Monster will reach out and grab a truck. But in iRacing, weirdly enough, this wall does not really grab you, right? We all have done racing maybe at Texas, where we'll be next week, where that wall will sort of hold on to you and slow that truck down. Here at Dover, you sort of bounce off these walls like a pinball.
Yeah, you definitely bounce them off like a pinball, and sometimes that can give you a speed advantage for sure. But yeah, but I'll tell you, as we take a look at Bumgarner on board,
But that was the onboard. It looked scarier from the outside than it did the inside for some reason, didn't it?
Yeah, it definitely looks scarier from the outside. Oh man, I think it looked scarier when we looked at it in real time, because it looked like it hit harder, but it didn't look like it hit that hard.
Oh, they're almost 3 wide. They were going to be 3 wide. Jacob Dunn's up on the top. Dunn, by the way, is currently running back here through the field in P12. He's got his teammate James Morgan with him. Morgan not able to race tonight due to the incidents at Bristol, but I love that, by the way. When you have a teammate who's not allowed to race and he's still here supporting you, maybe helping spot you, that's got to be a big boost of confidence.
Yeah, big boost of confidence and really boost up that team chemistry for sure.
Yeah, Dunn. Hold on. We'll come back to that point in a second. Caution's out. We're going to talk about the SimGamingExpo. And oh my gosh, that's Richard Regan. That's the driver who was up front. And he is now possibly out of this race. There's a car that's just to the left of that camera. I couldn't tell who it was. That's Dustin Bumgarner.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. This will be something to look at because I think, well, I don't want to think, I want to know, but Richard Regan's done. That truck had an expired motor. So for a driver who had a not feeling well, this is not the kind of day you want to have when you're already not feeling well. Let's watch this here. This is going to be Daniel Knight to the inside, actually. And
so that was
up the track. And, oh boy. Man. Bumgarner just never, I don't know. It's hard to say because it is easy to say through these corners. It's hard to tell what's on the outside of a corner, right? When you go into 3, what's out of 4 is sometimes a mystery.
See, what I think...
Watch this here.
What happened right here, oh, that's what it was. Regan got arrow loose from Daniel Knight, and that's what got that truck sideways, and that's what happened.
Yeah, so there'll be some reviews of that later from the race stewards. Maybe the moment of caution will help determine who's at fault there and who gets the points, whatnot. But watch this again. This is from Bumgarner. Watch ahead. There's the truck.
Oh.
I mean, he's on the brakes, so he chose the bottom. If I could only say one thing, and this is a moment decision, you never know. But typically at Dover, wrecks go down, right? This whole track is banked. It's 24 degrees in the corners, 9 degrees on the front and back. Typically, wrecks sweep down at this track. So if I was trying to avoid it, you maybe want to try and go high, but that's sort of hard to say. Here, watch this onboard here.
I think he thought that he could get down, more on the apron, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
And got caught up in it. Wow, what a turn of events.
That is a turn of events where we're going to talk to the driver who was trying to have his own MJ flu game. Richard, looks like your night is done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what 17 was doing. He just drove right through me, so, I mean, me and him have had a pass before, but I thought we were over that, but I guess not. So we'll just regroup and move on to next week.
So next week's is Texas. Is it a track you're historically good at? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I normally like Texas, but we'll see how the truck drives. With the refresh of Dover, the truck drove pretty weird tonight. Not like how Dover used to drive, so it was definitely a learning curve, but we definitely had good speed tonight. Just trying to manage the pace there, manage the tire fall off. No one really had a lot for me on the long run, so I was just trying to get there, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but things like this happen in racing, and just like to give a shout out to everyone that watches State Analyzer, Mission 22, SimGamingExpo, Multiple Sclerosis Society, everyone else that puts on the league, and then you guys at broadcast.
That you are the best in the business of doing that. I got to tell you, you get that in there so smoothly. That's a great job. Well, we're going to get back to your team and enjoy the rest of your evening. Hope you feel better, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, that is Richard Regan Jr. And we are back under green here. I think Daniel Knight led us to the restart here.
Yeah, led us to the restart, but I just want to say this. It looked like Regan was loose before Knight got into him, so I think it was a racing incident. I don't think there was no foul play, and we'll continue on.
No, I mean, that may be, right? And I kind of agree. I don't think that was intentional or what have you. But as a driver, sometimes you have those thoughts in your head when something happens, right? And it's not like we've ever seen a driver get mad at something before and have to go back and watch it later, right?
Right, definitely. But this is what's we got some great racing going on, and I totally forgot. Derrick, we forgot to say this at the beginning. This is a total rescan of Dover. This ain't the original Dover.
Yeah, that's true. This was one of the tracks. Oh, Jacob Dunn's up on the wall this time. That I got the graphical refresh. So I think what they're doing different tonight is the weather, because the rescan at this time by iRacing was not a texture upgrade. It's a lot of the graphics are different. And maybe what's happening to some of these drivers is your markers are gone, right? As a driver,
right,
you want to find something on the wall or something up in the fence, maybe a cone or whatever you have, to find a braking point or a lifting point. And with a graphical refresh, it's all gone, right? So I wonder if that's messing with some drivers' heads.
Yeah, you think about like these road course drivers. You know, like you said, you need a marker. So I mean, even when you're racing on the console, you know, when you're going into the corner, you find like the red stripe on the wall or something, and that's when you make your move. But yeah, that could definitely be messing with people's heads.
We are watching the battle up here up front. This is so for second through fifth, pardon me. This is Lowendick, Steve Baker, Bradley Holly, and Andrew Sharp. And we're riding on board with the 24th Andrew Sharp. That's kind of a cool font Andrew's picked for this truck, by the way. Look at that, the 4 there on the front. If we go back around later, he's got a kind of a weird shaped S on the back for Sharp in his name. So kind of more of a, I guess, a modern hip style font on this truck.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that paint scheme would look really good under the lights for sure. Needs to run it next week at Texas, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. I think next week in Texas is under the lights. I'm not quite sure how to get the schedule and look at that here. You know, Bradley Holly to scrub the wall a second ago. That's why he's falling back a little bit here. And boy, the list of drivers who have scrubbed the wall tonight is a pretty long list, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, looking at this, if I saw that list, I would think we're at Darlington instead of Dover. I mean, this is crazy for sure.
A little crazy indeed. Oh, there's Nick Hunter in that yellow machine. He's on the inside here trying to hold his lane. A little bit of contact with the truck outside. That's Robert Barney, by the way. Robert Barney is back in P13. The driver who led a bunch of laps to start this race is now struggling outside the top 10.
Yeah, you know, Robert Barney, the pole sitter for this race. Definitely. Unbelievable. Oh, another truck into the wall.
Oh, 3 wide again. That's Colton Lane on the inside. That's Nathan Deering.
Man, he's loose.
Oh, buddy, that's the 95. That thing is still wiggling.
Good Lord. Did a little boot scoot boogie, but I'm glad it didn't kick out from under him for sure.
Wow. That's crazy how much did that happen. That's Colton Easterday, by the way, the 95.
Man, look at Loving drive under Sharp. Man, Loving's truck. I don't know what they did. They gave him a whole new truck because that thing is wicked fast now.
Yeah, it really is. He's doing a great job there. There's Mark Kalin in the 62. Actually, had already won a race this season. Won back at Talladega in a pretty wild, chaotic ending. He just got by James O'Brien. And boy, that's a surprise. O'Brien on 2 restarts ago sort of pulled away quickly.
Oh man,
quickly got swallowed up. And there's another driver who's now tapped the wall.
Yeah, Mark Kalin once again.
As I said, Mark, another one of the Lego builder contingent of the league, sent me some pictures of the weekend. He started the Titanic build, so that's how he spent his Easter weekend, was working on that.
Well, what better way to be part of this broadcast than actually have Emmett in the broadcast?
There you go.
Oh,
There's
man.
Contact again. That's Easter Day, and that's Steve Baker. That's for 7th and 8th, I believe, 6th and 7th for those 2 drivers. So, wow, a little bit of wall contact, a little bit of body checking here. Everyone is good. the way, this track, by the way, not just used for racing. Inside this track, of course, is the horse racing track, which I learned today, weirdly enough, is not owned by the racetrack. They're actually two separate entities sort of on the same property together. So you can come and watch some beautiful horse racing here. During the Christmas time, by the way, I saw some awesome pictures today on Google. They light this place up with Christmas lights, and you can actually bring your street cars in and kind of drive around the track around like millions of Christmas lights.
Yeah, you know, y'all talking about y'all go to Texas next week. Texas Motor Speedway actually does the same thing. But another thing about Dover is they've started doing a big music festival in the off days in the infield. So a lot of stuff happened at Dover.
I have to look at the name. I saw the name earlier and it's skipping my head. I know it. The name of my head is not right, and it's not Firefest. Let me look it up here real quick. I think Firefly Fest, maybe? But here's the pass for the lead, by the way. We'll come back to the moment. This is Steve Loving. He's going to try and make the pass here on Daniel Knight, and he does. He quickly powers his way through the bottom. And look at this. Now it's Loving, Knight, and Colton Lane, your top three here at Dover.
Yeah, look at Lane. He's going to challenge Knight for second. Here he goes. He's going to drive it to the inside and hope it sticks.
I don't know if he drove it to the inside as much as Knight's got way outside, and he did slide it up there, but Knight went way high there in that corner, higher than we see almost anyone go tonight in a single-file racing form. And here back here, this is going to be fourth is Low and Dick. Sharp is back in there and some other drivers. On your screen now, by the way, you're going to see how long it's been since they pitted, I believe, the numbers next to them on the leaderboard. So you can see how long some drivers have been out. It's varied a little bit here, because Loving has the newest tires on lap 92 as is Colton Lane. Daniel Knight last pitted about lap 73, so that's about 20 laps different.
As you see Mark Kalin being under fire from, I believe, Andrew Sharp. Sharp trying to get it on the high line, trying to make it move. But he's got company from the 95 of Easter Day.
Yeah, Firefly Music Festival, by the way, is the one you're referring to. I kept wanting to call it Firefest. Like, no, that's not a nice name. That's. By the way, Firefest 2 suspended this week. What a surprise.
Oh, man.
Who saw that coming? Well, on track here, a bunch of things we haven't seen coming tonight, though. Some new leaders, some great battles. Some of the not top names not quite involved, but listen, still about 15 minutes to go. Who knows what can happen in those 15 minutes here. Here's the drivers with the most positions gained. Lowendick's plus 21. Loving is plus 16. Lane is plus 14 here, as is Bradley Holly. And then Jacob Dunn plus 13. Most of those drivers not allowed to qualify. Of those on track, Robert Barney is down 8. Thomas Sink is down 6. Kyle Dewey, by the way, running back in 15th, is down 13 spots since the start of this race.
Because Dewey, he was on the outside pole, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. You're right. He was on the outside pole. That's how he is. He just got around Jacob Dunn here. So do he or do he not get back up front? That is the question for Kyle Dewey.
I saw what you did there.
Don't laugh at that. That was really bad. Please don't encourage me. That was horrible.
I was rewarding you for it.
That's positive reinforcement for bad actions right there. But here's Mark Kalin. He is around Ted Lowendick here. Kalin's up in P4, by the way. And he is trying to get caught up to Daniel Knight and making a great run here. Well, things have finally started to calm down here at Dover. Of course, at any moment, things can kick off. But this is I think our longest run of the night so far.
Yeah, I think this is our longest green flag run for sure.
We'll take a moment to remind you that the action is not over this week on Green Flag TV right now. At the conclusion of this race, we'll take you over to the Beer League as they're running the Legends Coupes around the road courses. Tomorrow, the Speed Cup Series is at Talladega. And then Saturday, the NAS Classic will be at Daytona. And then Sunday, ASRL will be at Motegi Oval. And the Blazing Pedals will also be live on Sunday here at Richmond. So lots of racing upcoming here on Green Flag TV. Well, here again is Colton Lane. He's now to the back of Steve Loving. And then...
Man, the truck is loose.
Lots of trucks are loose. That was the word we got all night long when talking with drivers. Let's talk about how loose these trucks were going to.
I'll give it to Colton Lane. That truck was sideways coming off that corner.
You know, it's funny, when I talked to Steve Loving before this race started tonight, I asked him, how you want the track, or what's your goal tonight? And the only thing he would tell me, he said, hey, my goal is to qualify well in case this turns into a Bristol kind of event. Well, he didn't qualify well. He's qualified P17, but somehow he has found his way to the front here.
Colton Lane has got his hands full with that 60 truck for sure. Watch him come off the corner right here.
Let's watch on board here. Listen in off the pedal. Watch just kind of barely tapping the gas.
Right here. He's going to get, yep, there it was right there.
Yeah, you're right. That truck is sort of wanting to snap up to the wall out of turn 4. Makes me wonder if he were to kind of naturally track it out himself, if maybe there would be less snap in the corner.
You know what? I think what he's trying to do, he's trying to get momentum and try to get a run. And he's doing whatever it takes, trying to get that little, oh my gosh, that little advantage to catch up to Loving and make that pass for sure.
Well, lap by lap, Steve Loving is pulling away, by the way. He is about 1/10 of a second faster per lap right now than Colton Lane. Here's the battle on the back. This is Andrew Sharp and Thomas Sink. This is the battle for 10th and 11th. This is the last driver in the top 10 is what they're fighting for. And here's Colton Easterday and Bradley Holly. Brad said his goal tonight was to start in the back and not run anyone over. So far, he's done a pretty good job at that. So we'll see if he can gain on that. Here's Robert Barney, by the way, back up to P6. He's trying to work his way through. He just got around Steve Baker. A little bit of tap there. Put Barney up the hill.
Yeah, put him up the hill. Gave him a little bump and run. Just a little bit, but here comes Baker's going to try on the inside as they're side by side coming to the left. Barney's going to be able to drive on that outside and get away from Baker for sure.
You know, I think this racing action right here, this speaks to why the fans love Dover, right? This track holds 54,000 people as the seating capacity, and this is why people love to come here, because here we are, almost an hour into this race, into a green flag run, and up and down the track, there's still lots of side-by-side action, right? This is not a track, yeah, sure, there's some gaps in the field, but everywhere, there's still a race going on.
Yeah, definitely. As we see Nick Hunter battling James O'Brien right here for the 14th spot.
Yep, doing a great job. Nick Hunter here. Said as a P15 trying to run down James O'Brien. Nick Hunter is racing here without his brother this evening. His brother's been really busy, Austin, so out here running on his own, I do believe, at least without his brother. Has other teammates here. But O'Brien, as I said, there was the driver that got that one jump on the restart with older tires and quickly got swallowed up and is falling back pretty quickly here. So we'll see if he can make a move here in the last 10 minutes. We're now less than 10 minutes left to go here at Dover. Steve Loving, Colton Lane, Mark Kalin, Daniel Knight, and Ted Lowendick, your top 5. If this stays green, Emmett, do you think anyone catches Steve Loving?
You know, I don't know. I think it's going to come in if Loving's tires are going to go away, as we see Evan Williams get the meat ball.
That is the 6th truck right there. I don't see any obvious issues, but he's going to come down to get some damage fixed. When did he last pit would be my question. He last pitted lap 92, so not been out that long, but he'll come down pit road here, and he may or may not get back on track before this race concludes in that very bright purple colored machine. Let's see what happened to him.
Oh.
It's got the outside wall, so
Outside wall?
know. My guess is there was already some damage pending before that, because that hit alone should not have caused him to need there again. And apparently he might have hit the wall after that as well. But we'll come back to live racing here. This is Bradley Holly. He wants to run down Steve Baker. This is P7-8. Here is Mark Kalin, by the way. He's now back around Colton Lane. Mark Kalin, this has been quite the season so far. And of course, first at Talladega, ran last week at Bristol, and now he's up here in P2 at Dover. This is a pretty great start. If you can run first and then be second 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks later, pardon me, it's a good run. Look at that. Just got to the inside. But again, no discredit to Mark Kalin. I don't want to make it sound that way, but instead of Kalin making the pass, it's almost like Colton Lane threw away the spot.
I think Lane, his tires are going away. And we've seen that as loose as that truck has been, as we see Sharp battling the 48 for the 10th position. See Thomas Sink get the position. Now they're battling Easter Day for the 9th position. So great racing going on for sure, Derrick.
You'll see two drivers, by the way, on the right side of your screen getting repairs done late in the race. Zachary Burnt and Evan Williams. Burnt, of course, involved in that big, massive wreck earlier. So trying to get more damage done. Possibly had to come down and get more required repairs on that truck. Unfortunate here at the end of the race. But we'll get back to focusing on the racing. This is Colton Easter Day. As you said, he is running around here trying to keep Andrew Sharp at bay. This is the battle for P10. So if you want to be inside the P10, currently you have to get there through Colton Easter Day.
He's done a great job, but I'll give it to Thomas Sink. Thomas Sink has been able to get around both these trucks pretty fast, too. So great run for Thomas Sink, for sure.
Yeah, Tom's doing a great job here. And when I talked to Easter Day earlier, he told me he was concerned. Of course, I'm gonna bring this analogy back to your head, and maybe I shouldn't. But Colton Easter Day told me he thought this track was going to race more and more like Bristol. He was concerned about the number of self spins. Well, luckily or unluckily for him, that's not been the case. Most of the cautions tonight have been from, incidents, not just self spins. But I think in some ways I see the comparison to Bristol, how loose it is and how sketch it's been. But overall, we did 19 cautions at Bristol. We're doing a lot less here, knock on wood. So there's only so far that comparison can go. Oh boy, Easter Day pulled up there in front of Sharp because they tried to get around Thomas Sink and almost caused another caution.
Yeah, almost caused another caution. But I'll tell you, Derrick, if you get that truck, if you get those left tires on that apron just ever so slightly, you're going around.
Yeah, you might end up going around your right. Speaking of going around, there's Bradley Holly trying to get around Steve Baker. And Holly is pushing pretty hard here with about 5.5 minutes to go in this race, wanting to claim that spot. And Holly is trying his best to hold on to P7. See Brad there again. That's the webcam view of Bradley Holly. Now look at how much less movement there is in the wheel here.
Look at that focus.
The focus is, Brad's a great driver. Lots of focus, but here's a battle for the lead, by the way. This is Mark Kalin. We'll come back to Brad in a second. There's Mark. That bright yellow shirt that matches that bright yellow on that paint scheme. And he is trying. Oh my gosh, you can see Loving. And that truck got massive, wickedly loose there. And now the battle begins again.
Yeah, the battle for the lead is really heating up between Loving and Kalin. Here comes Kalin. He'll try to get up to the back bumper of Loving. He's pulling right up on him, Derrick. Here he goes. He's shooting to the outside, trying to make a move.
Yeah, shot to the outside. Fortunately, that does not appear to be the way to do it. And my gosh, that truck is wickedly loose again. I think now Kalen's pushing too hard, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he's starting to try to drop the wheels off that thing. And he needs, there's still 4 minutes left. I think he needs to just settle down, save his tires, and make a late race push for sure.
We'll see if he gets one more crack at it. My concern is, what's going to happen. He's got a truck now behind him as well. And now they're dealing with lap traffic, by the way. This may be where Kalin gets a little bit of a break here. We'll see now Kalin Loving both around the Brett Adams in the 23. They've got that Profit Python machine behind them. But I think for now they're all clear. Here's a three-way battle now. This is Thomas Sink. Now he's involved in this battle. This is Bradley Holly leading Steve Baker and Thomas Sink. Returns 3 and 4. 3 and 4, pardon me.
I'll give it to James O'Brien because that could have been huge right there when O'Brien was coming down on the apron. if he would have just moved up just ever so slightly, we would have had a multi-truck wreck.
Speaking of O'Brien here, he comes in outside. He's gonna slap the wall. Is O'Brien, and he's now gonna come around here. O'Brien, by the way, we should point out, is not fighting them for a position. I do believe he is now in lap down. I believe on fresh tires. So that's why he's able to power his way through. Look at that, this massive move here. By the way, should also point out we are now, I believe, at the point of no return. What's that mean? It means if a caution comes out now, I don't know that race control can get them lined up again, even on a quickie restart. If a caution comes out now, we're very, very likely looking at the end of this race. Steve Loving leads around here. He's got Mark Kalin almost half a second with about 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes to go, and man, Loving. I gotta give it to Steve Loving. Oh man, almost got it. Evan Williams almost got into the back of Mark Kalin though. But what I was going to say, Steve Loving, I mean, involved early on in that caution, gets on pit road, gets a new set of good years, comes back out, and look at this, leading the race for sure. Unbelievable.
So, if we can go back to the lead for a second, I want to talk about something here. I'm going to get your perspective as a driver. You see Evan Williams up here. Now, we're 2.5 minutes to go, and Evan was up here battling the P1 and P2. He's a lap down or more. He's not fighting for the lead. He's trying to get a lap back in this moment. As a driver, what is your perspective of this? Because some drivers would say, listen, man, it's 2 minutes to go. Like, why are you doing this? What do you get out of it? And some drivers say, hey, listen, if I can do it, I can do it. What's your perspective in a moment like that?
Well, I mean, especially as we see right now, it's causing, Kalin. If I'm Steve Loving, I'm screaming at race control why they're not giving the blue stripe to Evan Williams for sure. Because, I mean, it's causing Kalin to catch Loving lap after lap. And it's worth pointing out, by the way, we're not talking about he went back on the lead lap with that pass. He went from 7 to 6 laps down on that pass. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I could get it if he was battling, trying to get on the lead lap, and if we get a late race caution, But to be 6 laps down, get out of the way. Just let him go by.
Yeah, Nathan Derrick had some required repairs in this race, so he'll end it a little early. But Mark Kalin trying to get up here again. He is closing that gap once again. Here he goes to the bottom. He's going to try and make it stick. Can he make it stick this time? He's got this small lead, but he tends to get loose out of the corners. Let's watch it here. They'll be side by side out. Oh my gosh, there's that wiggle again. They're still side by side. And Kalin will have the advantage coming into this corner. Does he have the confidence to make it stick?
Yeah, look at Mark Kalin. He survived the calamity at Talladega, so he knows how chaotic it can get. But look at Kalin right here. He's going to drive that sucker down on the bottom and hope she sticks, trying to get the lead.
The Nash racing fan, this is what you want to see. Side by side racing. White flag in the air. One more lap to go at Dover. Kalin on the bottom, Loving up top. Side by side out of 2. Kalin has a tendency to get loose out of the corners. Does good out of 2. Down the back straight for a drag race. Down into 3. This is the last time. Can you make it stick? Mark Kalin may only lead this lap if he can. Gets it up out of 4. No contact. And at the line, it's going to be Loving, I think. Loving by 5 thousandths of a second wins at Dover.
What a finish.
Wow.
Derrick, have you ever?
I mean, I have, but it's been a while since I've seen that. And not just that, but a drive by Mark Kalin to keep that truck under control was impressive.
Wow. Yeah. Let's take a look at the replay. If we get a replay
one loaded up in a second here, but you're right, that's incredible. And I think we even have a couple cameras set up tonight. Maybe we can make use of them for the start-finish line. Oh, that's okay. It's post-race. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, now you can hit the wall.
Yeah, that's true. Now you're allowed to hit the wall, right? You think back to the old Microsoft days. You had to say maybe Steve Blake was a bit of a space cadet in reference to Space Cadet Pinball and how he got around this track here at the Dover Motor Speedway.
He was running.
Bring it down.
I think he was the ski dude, and he was running from the Yeti.
Yeah, that you could say maybe he did a great job avoiding the mines. He was a great mine sweeper. Would be another good reference.
My God. He was making
I'm
the cards
old. I got
fit.
these references at heart. All right. Well, I think we're going to first take a look at this right here. This is a camera set up at the line. That's your finish.
Unbelievable.
My goodness. There's James O'Brien, by the way. He came in right there behind him, but that's incredible. Let's go and take a look at your finishing results here in the CTNNB1 Kieran Connect 180. Steve Loving finishes just ahead of Mark Kalin. Colton Lane almost 3 seconds back in P3. Ted Lowendix in 4th. Thomas Sinks in 5th. Steve Baker's in 6th. Bradley Holly's in 7th. Robert Barney came back in P8 after a great run tonight. Colton Easter's in 9th. And Jacob Dunn rounded out your top 10.
Yeah, and 11th is going to be Andrew Sharp in the 24th. Daniel Knight in the 17th and 12th. 13th, Kyle Dewey. 14th, Nathan Deering. 15th, Brett Adams. 16th, James O'Brien. 17th, Mike Toomer Jr. 18th, Brian Tope. 19th, Nick Hunter. And 20th, Nicholas Schwartz.
Moving back into P21 is Evan Williams, 6 laps down. These are all cars 6 or more laps down. Zachary Burnt, Jeff Evans, Garrett Austin, Doug Evans, Blaine Adams, Dustin Bumgarner, Richard Regan Jr. Of course, had that big wreck. Brandon Walter, and then Nick Saraf rounds out your top 30. And then last in the grid here, just 31st and 32nd, Nathan Ray and Stephen Brunner running out the 32 truck field that ran here today at Dover. Well, I know I used the reference earlier, but you see it again there on screen. That's how close it was just before the line. So let's ask Steve Loving the question. Steve Loving, where do you want to go today?
What's going on?
How was that? That was close, incredible, exciting. That's what we saw from up here. What was your perspective? What were you feeling in that moment?
The same. It was exciting. It was difficult. Didn't know what to do. But yeah, it was great. A little disappointed at the beginning to get caught up in a wreck. I saw it coming. I was trying to avoid it. But that damage made the truck really loose. And fortunately, the way the cautions played out, I was able to get it repaired and go on the alternate pit strategy from everyone else and try to do the reverse from the front of the pack. But yeah, that was a blast. I had an awesome run with the last 2 laps with Mark. I don't think it could have been any better of a finish for both of us.
So I look back at some of the quotes in the conversation you and I had earlier today.
Oh, no.
Some of the quotes being something said is, you said, I was P6 at Bristol. As long as someone doesn't wreck me, I will finish. That's what you said today. Well, I think you did finish.
I did finish.
Finished in a pretty good spot, didn't you?
Someone wrecked me, and I did finish.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, you were kind of wrong in that spot. That's true. Yeah. So we talked earlier today, back in 2023, you had some great success in season 4 from a previous league. Is this maybe a good kick in the pants of momentum for you for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's exciting. We'll see where the rest of the races go, but there's a lot of fast guys in this league. Every single person is so solid. Barney would have been up in the top, but he had a speeding penalty. Obviously, Rich would have been up on the podium, but something happened with him. He got spun, and eventually it looked like he got T-boned from what I could see. So that was disappointing for him. Steve Baker, Lowendick, all of them, they're so fast. So just cracking a top 10 in this league is something to be proud of. And if you crack a top 5, it's just incredible. And if you win, it's almost, it's beyond a miracle. It's like a unicorn. So, but no, I'm excited. I was not expecting a win by any means, so I'll definitely take it. And I'm just happy the finish was that close and that exciting for the viewers.
So we're taking a slow-mo look at your truck when on the track here. I see Microsoft, obviously, Packard Bell. I see Napster on the truck. Some other old school nerd references here on the truck. So I have 2 questions. One, is it just your love of nerdness that inspires this truck? And 2, when are we getting like Minesweeper, Microsoft Hearts, Microsoft Encarta, Netscape Navigator? Is this truck going to evolve as the season goes on?
Yeah, I should do that. Now, honestly, what I wanted to do was I just wanted to stay away. I wanted to do something that was bright that could be seen on the track, but something different that nobody else does.
Right.
And everybody sticks with the modern sponsors and your fly-by-night stuff and your own brands and whatever else or where you work. But who does throwbacks? So I felt like I wanted to do a throwback. It kind of just takes me back to the old Papyrus NASCAR racing days when you're actually playing it on Windows. So I just wanted to do something different that you're not going to see out there, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, the one that came to mind, Winamp would be a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. But see, Napster replaced it so much better. But you know what? The Winamp's a good one. I'm gonna have to add that.
LimeWire.
Listen, well, yeah, that one too. All right, listen, great run tonight, great win, and we will see you next week at Texas.
Real quick, I want to thank Regenboog Motorsports. I'm on their team. Rich for a lot of help at the end. He was helping to spot and give me some tips. So he's absolutely tremendous. He's a great coach, friend, everything. Can't ask for a better guy. But him, the teammates, everybody on the track, I think did a great job. It's really good that Dover had a lot of green flag laps, and this was a good recovery from Bristol. Hopefully we keep that momentum and go green even more for the rest of the season.
All right, well, great job, Steve, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Have a good night. Well, let's now talk to the man who finished P2, 5 thousandths of a second. That's the difference for Mark Kalin. Mark, you were that close to win number 2.
Almost got to add to my collection here of race win posters, but golly, that was fun, Derrick. I hope that was a blast for y'all up there in the booth.
Well, from up here, it looked wild, it looked scary, it looked loose. How loose was that truck? It looked like it was massively loose by the end, right?
Oh, 100%. My tires were well below halfway on the wear indicator, and you just had to be so gentle on especially turn 4 exit, because that's where I would get the loosest. And when I caught Steve that first time, that's what happened to me. I got real loose and fell back about a half a second, and I thought it was over. And then with a couple laps to go, Derrick, I thought, well, he's running the low line, I'm running the low line, I'm not gaining. Let me try the high line out. Well, tried it out, and I gained my spot back or my speed, and got right back to him. And wow, I don't even know if I can fit my finger through that.
That truck was sideways. I mean, I don't know how you didn't keep that sucker from spinning out. I told Derrick, I said he wrecked. He just didn't wreck. He spun out, but he didn't wreck. Right. Great drive for you, and yeah, golly, talk about so close.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Appreciate that, and yeah, it was wrecking loose the last 10 laps without a doubt. Every single exit of the corner, even halfway through the corner, as soon as you hit the gas a little bit, it wanted to step out on me. But I knew that the only way to have a shot was to stay in it, and by golly, I did.
So, of course, you see the middle poster there, winner 2 weeks ago at Talladega, the first race ever in the SimGamingExpo Truck Series. Almost a winner tonight. You're going to come down to record books for a different reason, being probably what was likely going to be probably the closest finish ever in SimGamingExpo Truck Series. Maybe not the way you wanted it, but so here we are 2 races in. This is a new Mark Kalin from who I knew before. Like, what's changed and what's the outlook for the rest of the season?
Well, let's be honest, Derrick. If Richard didn't get caught up in an incident, he was going to win this race. This is a 100% Richard Regan track. There's just no catching him, at least for me. This is the furthest thing from a Mark Kalin track that you can possibly get. I just happened to have the right tire strategy at the right time. So it was completely luck that it worked out the way it did. And I managed to save my tires just enough to run Steve down. But God, that was the most fun at Dover I think I've ever had, because, well, every other time I end up wrecked or hitting the wall on my own accord.
All right, Mark. Well, listen, great run tonight, and we'll see you in 1 week's time at Texas.
Thank you, Derrick, and I'm looking forward to it. You all have a good night, and thanks for putting on an awesome broadcast, as always.
Thank you. That is Mark Kalin finishing P2. We'll wrap up here by talking with our P3 finisher, Colton Lane. Colton, maybe not as close to the finish as you wanted to be, but that had to be like a front row seat to that amazing battle, right?
It was definitely good. I was honestly surprised. I know y'all probably talked to him about it, but when Mark made the second charge back after he got loose or whatever on that first time and lost 3 or 4 tenths, I was like, it's over now. But watching it there at the end change and tick back and forth between him and Loving in the lead was a good time. Just wish I could have been up there, but.
So you've had a couple great finishes recently as well. Pardon me, this number 60 machine. Unfortunately, you were also wrapped up in a caution earlier to start the night. So, are you surprised to find yourself up in top 3 after being wrapped up in a caution earlier in the evening?
Well, I mean, I didn't get any damage from it, and I mean, that was honestly, I know me and Steve got together there. I don't even know if that was really like. I was just trying to avoid the was it the 67 car was kind of loose on the inside. I was just trying to give him some room, and I guess one of us misjudged it. I took blame for it in the moment, but I don't know. We'll go back and watch it. That's up at stewards. I don't envy their position. We'll see what they say, but either way, it was a crazy race out there. I wish we could have got more of what we got in that last 30 minutes though, because that's what I was prepared for the whole first hour of that race. I was saving my stuff a little bit. In that last run, I let it get to me. I just burnt my stuff up really bad.
Well, next week we go to Texas for the CM Pennington 44. A great racetrack at Texas. What are you looking forward to there?
Well, I mean, I do like Texas. I hope there's a little bit, we've had some tire fall off this season, so I hope that continues. Because 3 and 4 there is treacherous. If you're able to hold the throttle down more than the guy in front of you and they get loose or something, it can. Well, we've seen it happen before. There can be some big wrecks that happen there. So, but it's a fun track though. I generally enjoy it. I know some people hate it or don't really enjoy the reconfigure, but I still think it's fun to drive.
All right,
Definitely
well,
fun to go to. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a fun one to go to. I'm looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the league there next week. We'll talk to you then, and have a good evening.
Yeah, see you fellas.
All right, that is Colton Lane, and I'm going to bring up one more person here. I'm going to bring in Ted Lowendick. Teddy, how was the race tonight?
It was a fun one. Very loose setup. Yeah, no, I think it was cool. There was a bunch of different strategies. It was fun to have to deal with that, and I'm just glad I made it on time. I was running really close to not making it tonight.
So how difficult was it charging through this field? Obviously, you're one of like 8 drivers who was not allowed to qualify. How difficult was that charge through the field while staying, clean and safe at the same time?
So I actually won an appeal last week, so I was actually able to qualify, but I got home with 30 seconds left in qualifying, so that's why I started in the back.
Kind of give yourself your own EOL then.
Yeah. So it's difficult to pass because you get a really good run on the outside, and you're really kind of just hoping that the person gets a little loose and they have to lift. And then if you try the outside, you gotta hope that the person underneath of you doesn't get loose on the exit. Similar to what happened to Mark on the last lap there. So you lose a lot of momentum when that happens. The different tire strategies was crazy. You had people that were, I don't know, a full second faster than you at some point, or a full second slower. I think I lost 5 spots on one of the restarts just because I got stuck behind someone who was on older tires and just couldn't get around them. So it's a fun track. It's like a mega version of Bristol, and it's pretty cool.
All right, well, my last question as we wrap up the night. How many Nerds gummy clusters have you consumed or purchased in the post-Easter candy discount?
I haven't bought any in the discounted time. I bought them all before, and then I actually got some for Easter, so I haven't had to dip into the wallet yet.
Fair enough. Well, listen, next week is Texas. I'm looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the league there, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you. You too.
All right, that is Ted Lowendick, driver of the number 13 machine. Well, here we are. We're now down to the end of the race, and as we walk away here, what's your takeaways from this race?
Wow. What a great race to be a part of. I have no words. I'm speechless.
Yeah, it's hard to find words and to finish that close. So once again, I want to say thank you to all the drivers who come out and raced here tonight, part of the Premier Sim Racing SimGamingExpo Truck Series. I want to say congratulations again to Steve Loving, winner by 5 thousandths of a second. I want to say thank you to our producer Dustin Ollis for helping us put on this amazing broadcast. 1 week's time, Texas Motor Speedway, the CM Pennington 44. 1 week's time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, here live on Green Flag TV. Well, you can catch this race and every race from the Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series here exclusively on Green Flag TV. On behalf of the rest of the broadcast crew, my name is Derrick Watson saying good night, and please enjoy our coverage. Stay with us, stay tuned, as we're going to lead over into the other broadcast here on Green Flag TV. Nolan Rimple, Finicini, the Beer League, the Legends at Muskogee starts next.